Have you ever felt trapped by emotions you couldn't let go of? Tied to someone who no longer holds space in your life? What if detachment didn't mean cold indifference, but a return to peace, strength, and clarity? And what if the wisdom to release emotional pain had already been passed down, quietly waiting for you to discover it? Life has a way of teaching us one of its harshest truths. People come and go. We form bonds, share laughter, memories, sometimes even pieces of ourselves, and then, one day, something shifts. Someone walks away, or worse, they stay, but their heart isn't in the same place anymore. And you're left wondering, how do I stop caring? How do I emotionally detach without losing myself in the process? That's where Stoicism steps in, not as a cold philosophy, but as a lifeline, especially the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who understood the human soul in ways that still resonate today. The Stoics didn't avoid emotions. They mastered the art of living with them without being ruled by them. Emotional detachment, in their eyes, wasn't about becoming numb. It was about reclaiming your clarity, your dignity, your peace. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 timeless Stoic rules for emotionally detaching from someone, with Marcus Aurelius as our guide. This isn't abstract theory, it's real, practical insight you can use today to rebuild your emotional strength and reconnect with yourself. Rule 1. Understand the impermanence of life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." When it comes to relationships, that idea cuts deep, because more often than not, what we're attached to isn't the person themselves, but the story we've created about them, the role they play in our lives. But here's a truth the Stoics embraced early: nothing lasts forever. People drift, sometimes slowly, sometimes overnight. Whether it's distance, death, or the natural fading of emotional intimacy, connections are fleeting, and the more we grip, the faster they slip away. Have you ever tried holding sand in your hand at the beach? The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. Relationships are the same. I once had a friendship that lasted over a decade. We shared everything: our dreams, our fears, late night calls, but slowly, life took us in different directions. I resisted it, I clung harder, but in doing so, I turned the connection into a burden, a chain. It wasn't until I accepted the impermanence that I felt relief. That friendship had served its season, and that's okay. Marcus Aurelius would say the same. Accept that things end, and you will suffer less when they do. Rule 2. Master your emotions through rational thought. Pain, anger, sadness, these emotions often feel automatic, like they just happened to us. But according to the Stoics, they don't. They're not events, they're reactions, products of our interpretations. In other words, emotions don't control us, our thoughts do. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the foundation of Stoic emotional detachment. Your mind is not a victim of your feelings, it is their source. Imagine going through a breakup. You're wrecked, playing conversations in your head, asking, why did this happen? Why does it still hurt? The Stoic approach is not to deny the pain, but to separate fact from story. What are the facts here? Did something truly go wrong, or are you clinging to a narrative? You choose which thoughts you feed. You can spiral, or you can pause, breathe, and shift your mental frame. Think about the last time you sent a heartfelt message and received silence in return. What happened next? Chances are your mind spun a story. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? Emotion followed thought, anxiety, frustration, even anger. But what was real? Only the silence. The rest was your mind filling in blanks with fear. I've lived this. A close friend once stopped responding in the middle of an important conversation. I spiraled for hours. I convinced myself something was wrong, that our friendship was crumbling. But when I stepped back, I realized nothing had happened. They were just busy. The emotional storm I had stirred up, it was mine, entirely mine. Marcus's words echoed. Focus on what's within your control, your thoughts, your actions. That insight changed everything. Rule 3. Practice negative visualization. At first glance, this rule sounds odd, even morbid. Why would I want to imagine losing someone I love? But this Stoic practice is one of the most powerful forms of mental resilience. Negative visualization isn't about expecting disaster. It's about preparing your mind to meet reality with strength instead of shock. By rehearsing the worst, gently, deliberately, you strip its power to devastate you. Imagine life without someone you deeply love, a partner, a sibling, a best friend. It's painful, yes, but that discomfort teaches you something essential: appreciation for the present. It breaks your illusion of permanence. I practiced this when my best friend was preparing to move abroad. We'd been inseparable. The thought of losing that daily connection terrified me, but I visualized it. Slowly, day by day, I imagined new routines, new joys, new circles of connection, so when they eventually left, the grief wasn't overwhelming, because I had already made peace with the change. This isn't cold-hearted, it's courageous. It says, I love this person, I honor this bond, and I accept that one day it may end, and in that acceptance we find freedom, gratitude, presence. These first 3 Stoic rules: embracing impermanence, mastering your thoughts, and practicing negative visualization, don't remove your emotions. They reframe them. They give you a foundation. But we're not done yet. In the next part, we'll explore 2 more powerful Stoic practices, ones that help you reclaim emotional clarity, set internal boundaries, and focus your energy where it truly matters. Ready to continue? Let's keep going. In the last section, we explored how embracing impermanence and managing our faults can free us from emotional turmoil. Now, let's go even deeper, because true detachment doesn't stop at understanding loss. It begins when you reclaim your inner power. Rule 4. Focus on what you can control. One of the most liberating realizations in Stoic philosophy is this: there are things within your control. and things that never were. When you're trying to emotionally detach from someone, this distinction becomes absolutely essential. Why? Because so much of our emotional pain doesn't come from what is, but from what we desperately wish we could change. Marcus Aurelius reminds us again and again, we only have control over three things: our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. Everything else, other people's behavior, time, outcomes, emotions, they belong outside our influence. And the more energy you pour into trying to change what's beyond your control, the deeper your suffering grows. Emotional detachment, then, is not about turning cold or heartless. It's about letting go of your attachment to outcomes that don't belong to you. When you're emotionally invested in someone, whether it's a romantic partner, a close friend, or even family, it's natural to want him to feel the same way. You want him to show up, care back, match your energy, but here's the hard truth. You can't control how someone feels about you. You can't make someone love you, or respect you, or treat you how you deserve to be treated. What you can control is your response. Think about a time when you tried to influence someone's feelings. Maybe you went out of your way to prove your worth. Maybe you gave more, hoping they'd give back. What did that feel like? Most likely, it felt exhausting, frustrating, powerless. I've been there. I was in a relationship where I constantly felt like I had to keep things from falling apart. I planned dates, sent thoughtful messages, tried to be everything, but no matter what I did, it was never enough. They pulled away, and I chased harder. It was a cycle of anxiety because I was trying to control something that wasn't mine to hold. But when I embraced the Stoic mindset and began focusing solely on what I could control, my own actions, my self-worth, everything shifted. I realized I couldn't make them love me, but I could stop sacrificing my peace trying to win it. The moment I detached from that impossible pursuit, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: relief. One of the most powerful forms of healing is emotional autonomy, the idea that your happiness, your calm, and your sense of self-worth are not dictated by someone else's behavior. Because the moment you hand someone else control of your emotional state, you become a prisoner to their moods, their attention, their approval. Imagine being in a friendship where you always feel sidelined. They no longer reach out. They no longer show up. You begin questioning yourself. Did I do something wrong? Did I say too much? That spiral is natural, but it's also a trap, because they're actions, not your responsibility. What is your responsibility is how you respond. Do you spend your energy chasing validation, or do you redirect that energy into nurturing the relationships and activities that truly bring you peace? When you stop tying your self-worth to someone else's presence or absence, you reclaim your power. In my own life, I remember realizing how much my emotions hinged on how others treated me. If they were warm, I felt loved. If they were cold, I felt worthless. It was like riding an emotional roller coaster with someone else at the controls. But once I applied Stoic principles, I decided no more. I didn't stop caring. I just stopped letting their behavior define my value. The true goal of emotional detachment isn't indifference. It's acceptance. Acceptance that life is uncertain, people are unpredictable, and despite your deepest wishes, you cannot control everything. Imagine going through a breakup. You feel lost, heartbroken, overwhelmed. Your mind races. Could I have done something differently? Can I fix this? Why did this happen? These questions stem from a desperate desire to reverse the outcome, but you can't. The Stoic response isn't to numb the pain, but to face the truth. This happened. It is what it is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, every obstacle, even heartbreak, is an invitation to grow. And when you stop wasting energy on things you can't change, you begin focusing on what you can. I've lived this too. The sudden end of a relationship left me reeling. At first, I was consumed with why, trying to analyze every moment. But over time, I realized no amount of thinking could undo the reality. I had to let go, not to forget, but to move forward. That's when real strength emerged, not from understanding the past, but from accepting it. Rule 5. Reflect on the bigger picture. When you're caught in the middle of emotional pain, your world shrinks. It feels like everything is about this one relationship, this one person, this one moment. But Stoicism urges us to zoom out, to step back, to view our lives from a higher vantage point. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that all fears, desires, and struggles are fleeting specks in the vastness of time. Ask yourself, will this pain matter 5 years from now? Is this person truly the center of my universe? Shifting your perspective like this helps you loosen the emotional grip. It's not that the feelings vanish, but you begin to see that your distress is tied to a temporary moment in a much larger story. No single person or event should hold that much power over your peace. When you're overly attached, it's easy to forget who you are beyond that relationship. Your happiness becomes tied to their presence, their attention, their approval. But when you reflect on the bigger picture, you realize something powerful. You felt pain before, and you survived. You've lost before, and you grew. You've stood in the ashes, and still, you rebuilt. I once went through a breakup that felt like the end of everything. For weeks, my world dimmed, but then I remembered other endings, other heartbreaks, and how life kept moving. And so did I. That person wasn't my whole story. They were just a chapter. Important, yes, but not the conclusion. When you start seeing your life as a vast, evolving journey, you begin to detach, not because you stop caring, but because you recognize nothing stays, and that's okay. Emotional detachment isn't about turning off your heart. It's about learning how to hold life lightly, with strength, grace, and wisdom. By embracing impermanence, focusing on your faults and responses, and seeing the bigger picture, you step into emotional freedom. So the next time you feel yourself gripping too tightly to someone or something, ask yourself, do I control my emotions, or do they control me? If this video resonated with you, share your story or a moment of clarity in the comments below. Someone else might need to hear it. And if you're ready to keep learning, growing, and building your inner strength, subscribe now. Every week, we dive into timeless Stoic insights to help you live with purpose, clarity, and peace. This is your journey. This is your power. Let's go and begin again.